Hello, YouTubers. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about something very interesting. This is something that I have taught a lot of in the past. Hang on one second. I'm looking for. Could do that. Might as well do that. All right. So, the spell of the nine knots. If you're not familiar with the spell of the nine knots, this is actually a traditional, at the very least, Anglo-Saxon, pre-Christian pagan spell that was used in England way back when. And there's different versions of it out there. I have taught a couple of versions of it. I have used it. What I've done, which is a little different than what you've seen maybe in some other Wicca stuff, is that I have added the thunder wheel, the 9 directions. I've also added corresponding um, energy points on the body, meridian points, and I use a sine wave. So if you're familiar with a sine wave goes up and down like this. And what it does is it takes the energies from the body and it brings it down in a very powerful way, centering it over the heart. So I talk a lot about this on thunderwizard.com, which is my Patreon page. And if you go there and if you subscribe to the lowest level, which is the Shamanism Mastery course, I talk about the 9 worlds and the 8 directions and all kinds of stuff like that. So that'll give you a good background. And that's only 25 bucks a month. It'll give you access to hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos. Anyway, but today I'm going to be talking to you about the 9 worlds, and I'm going to be talking to you about the spell of the 9 knots. And today we're going to be focusing on. Sorry, I'm distracted because I'm trying to do this here. Pull this stuff down so you can see it. All right, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button, by the way. So we're going to be talking about the spell of the 9 knots. We're going to be talking about the 9 worlds and the 8 directions. We're going to be talking about the meridian points of the body, how to use them in a shamanic sine wave pattern. I'm not going to tell you exactly all of the secrets of how I do the spell, because I do have, if you go to courses.thunderwizard.com, I do have a DVD on the spell of the 9 knots, which reminds me I have to probably turn it into another kind of a format, but for now we've got that. In any case, let's just go ahead and get started. And then today my plan is to talk about the North and what we can do with the North. I'm also going to be talking about how to use the runes, the first 8 of the runes for physical manifestation. Those, in my experience, are the safest ones to use. Once you get into the second 8, you're dealing with psychological and emotional transformation, which can be very challenging. And then the third one, we're talking about spiritual transformation. So the first 8 are the safest ones to work with because you're dealing with physical manifestation. But you may have to change a lot of your ideas around money. Most people, when they want to manifest something in the physical, they want to manifest money or resources. And so that's what we will be focusing on today, because the northern direction where you start, that is the placement of the Fehu rune. So let's see. Where is the rune wheel? Do I have the rune wheel in here? I think I do. This will be helpful as well. There we go. The rune wheel. All right, so you can use that as a thunder wheel or as what do they call it? The medicine wheel. And straight up there would be north. Okay, and then to the first one on the right would be northeast, and then the third one would be east. Got it? So you can see here that Fehu is there in the north. And so the north is the realm of the waters of life. And so these are the waters that bring nourishment. So it only makes sense that Fehu would already be placed there. And what I've done, as you can see, is I've taken the Futhark, I've taken the 3 8s, and I've placed them just simply pasted them onto the medicine wheel, or what I call the thunder wheel. In this case, it's a rune wheel. And in each one of the directions, you just simply paste the runes one on top of the other, each of the three. And so this will tell you what each of those directions are wanting. And you know, it's going to take us a while to go through all this if I decide to go through each one of the 24 runes in each one of the 9 directions. But today I'm just going to focus on the north. So I don't know if you're familiar with the rune wheel. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Too many things going on in my head. I don't know if you're familiar with the spell of the 9 knots. So let's talk about that first before we go any further. The spell of the 9 knots. Spell of the 9 knots is, you know, you see it a lot, like Wiccans like to talk about it and everything. And so you might pass it by if you're more of a traditionalist like me, because some of the newer magical, you know, Western magic, including things like Wicca, there's nothing wrong with Wicca. It's just, it's a manufactured magical practice. So it's, you know, as it's taught, the majority of it is not coming directly from our ancestral understanding. So that, you know, you don't have to take my view of it. I'm not trying to bag anybody for whatever kind of spiritual practice they do. I myself wouldn't be drawn to it for that reason. But when I did research into the spell of the 9 knots, I found out that it actually is a very ancient spell that has been used for a long time. So there's no mystery why it's the spell of the 9 knots. Now, normally you would use a thread or a rope, and you would create 9 knots, and I teach how to do that on the, if you go to courses.thunderwizard.com, the Spell of the 9 Knots DVD, I teach how to do that. For me, I use the spell a lot without going to all the trouble of doing all that. But what I do is I take in all of the 8 directions, and I use the 9 meridian points of the body. Now what I'm saying to do is to add the runes into it, right? So let's get the spell of the 9 knots up on the screen here. Is it this one? Yep. So here is the spell of the 9 knots in modern English as I use it. So you can see here, I've got the directions where you would face. So you would face north, and you would say, 1, it has begun. And then you face northeast, and you say, 2, it shall come true. Then you face to the east, and you say, 3, comes to me. Face the southeast, 4, I open the door. Face the south, 5, it comes alive. Face the southwest, 6, my words are fixed. And then face the west, 7, by the stars of heaven. And then you face northwest, 8, release my fate. And then 9, it shall be mine. You're facing north again when you get to 9. I won't get into all of the points just yet. Right now I just want to talk about the directions. So very briefly, I find this very interesting. So in the north, let's see if I can get a thunder wheel up here. Let's see if I can find one. Just so you can have all these things to be looking at. Thunder wheel, no, there we go. Thunder wheel. All right, don't annoy me here, thunder wheel. All right, so there's the thunder wheel. We bring it down there. Let me make it a little smaller so that it'll fit. All right. And there you go. So now you can see the thunder wheel underneath each of that. So the top would be north. So this whole idea of the thunder wheel is not something that I am making up. I mean, I'm using the name thunder wheel because I don't want to give off the impression that I am hijacking the Native American and say medicine wheel. That's their word. But the truth is that these 9-sided wheel, 8-sided wheels have been used all over the world for tens of thousands of years. And our ancestors did it. In Europe, there's all kinds of stone circles. Not all of them have 8 stones, but I've found some that have 8, standing stones. I don't know exactly how they used them, but there's obviously some connection to the 8 directions. Each one of these 8 directions has the same properties in multiple traditions. In Taoist practices, if you translate the meanings of what each one of the directions, they call it the Bagua, the 8 gates. If you translate what each one of those directions means and the essence of that energy, it corresponds exactly with the Vedic. The Vedic used the Dig chakra, which means direction wheel. And each one of those directions, the properties of those directions corresponds directly with the Taoist. Now, we don't have anything written down like I do here, like in my books, by the way. My books, Thunder Shamanism, and all that, I talk about the 9 directions. By the way, if you go to thunderwizard.com, let me put this down here for a second. If you go to thunderwizard.com and you subscribe to the lowest level of subscription, which is the Shamanism Mastery course, when you get on there and you see all of the videos, you can go to the top and you can decide oldest or newest. So when you subscribe to that, and you see all the videos that are there, click oldest first, and what will happen, the first video that comes up will be me talking about the 9 worlds and the 8 directions. So this is what listen, this channel is not just for people to come on when I do Q&As and ask me silly questions. This channel is designed to be the gateway through which you get access to all of the resources. If you put the time and energy into the resources, you will have hands-on knowledge. In my experience, in fact, I'm quite sure of it, nobody out there is no teacher out there who has all of the knowledge that I have in all of the ways that I do. It just, you won't find it. You won't find anybody who's made this kind of syncretic knowledge based on actual working shamanic magical traditions that go all the way back into prehistory from all over the world. There's nobody out there that does it, especially people, especially modern Western teachers, modern rune teachers, modern, heathens and Wicca and magic. Again, I got nothing against it, but they do not have and come from the background that I do. Very few are able to syncretize an actual system. Bear in mind, what I'm teaching you is not stuff that I've made up. I don't think this is cool, I'll do this, I'll try that. I read that in a book, let's do that. This is a syncretization of shamanic science. Okay, so shamanism is a science. If you cannot take the principles of shamanism and apply them in your life and have a direct experience and see results, then it's all talk. So the only stuff I teach is actual science that I can find in multiple traditions. So the reason why I teach this spell of the 9 knots is because it corresponds with the science that is found all over the world. So there's no doubt in my mind that our ancestors, however they did this spell, whether they realized it or not, were tapping into the 9 worlds, they were tapping into the 8 directions. Because as you look at each one of these, they correspond exactly with what the essence of those directions are. So starting in the north, we're talking about 1. So 1 is the first. The north is the first world that has to do with manifesting our physical reality. So according to, again, this is multiple traditions, not just me talking. In the beginning, there was emptiness, what my ancestors called Gunungagat, which means yawning chasm, means the void. From the void came a drop of water, which went to the north, and a spark of fire that went to the south. And that is found, water and fire are found in the north and south in multiple traditions all over the world. including the ones I already mentioned. And then from the two came the three. So according to Taoism, you have the void, then you have the one, which is the Gununga gap, and then you have the two, which is water and fire, yin and yang. From the two comes the three, and from the three comes the five, which is the five elements, and from the five comes infinity. This is how the universe was born, and I'm just giving it to you in a encapsulated form. That's basically what every tradition says in some way or other. So one, in the north, you have the first manifestation, the beginnings of manifestation. If you and I were to go into the world of the north, into that dimension, we would fly apart because it hasn't been condensed into reality yet. That's why it's called water. Try and put your finger on water. You can't do it. It just goes everywhere. We can't actually drink those waters. Those waters in their purest form are toxic to us. They're poisonous, and the reason why they're poisonous is because they haven't been manifested yet. That's what that means. Hang on, I gotta take this. Hi, this is Mike. Good, how are you? Yeah, please do. Yeah, because there's sand back there. Yeah, please go right ahead. Yeah. Alrighty. Take care. Bye bye. All right. Sorry, I had to take care of that. There's been a lot of rain, so people are shoveling dirt and stuff that's coming down the hill. Anyway, what was I saying? Something really profound. Anyway, so we're looking at the north. The north is the beginning of manifestation, the waters of life. So in the waters of life, again, they're toxic. They're toxic because they're too pure. We are too limited. We are now limited and confined in our creation. If we were to drink those waters are not completely manifested, which means the power of them would kill us. It would blow us apart. But this is the beginning. One, it has begun. It means that life is beginning. So your intention when you do the spell, when you're facing north and you say one, it has begun. You have now begun to manifest your intention. Facing north is the direction of that. Two, it shall come true. You face the northeast. The northeast is the highest heavens. That is Asgard. That is the realm of Ishana Shiva. That is the realm of the highest ether. And when you face into the northeast, you are facing the highest truth, because that's what it represents. The celestial deities represent the highest vibration of truth. So it makes sense. You say, two, it shall come true. Then you face east and you say, three, it comes to me. Now the east is the direction of the giants. It is the direction of the sun. The sun represents the ego, the self. So there's no coincidence that all of this is lining up. So when you're facing east, you say, it comes to me, because it takes that long. By the time you get to the third level of manifestation, you've now limited yourself down to an ego, to a self. So now you're bringing this intention to you. And you say, four, I open the door. So when we're faced in the southeast has to do with the realm of humans, the realm of the mind, the realm of the moon, and it's also the realm of Venus. And here we have, once again, taking this intention down to the level of your desires. So the southeast can be human desire, and the Taoists call it the human door. And there's a reason why the rune Manaj sits right there in the southeast, because Manaj is human, and it is also the mind. Okay? So there you have that. Go to 4, I open the door. And when you're using the sine wave on all of the meridians, you actually get to the third eye. So this is 1, no, this is 1, this is 2, right? So by the time you get to 4, you're here at the third eye. The third eye is the door. You open the door. Again, manaj, mind, has to do with the third eye. People don't realize that the third eye isn't, people think that when they've opened the third eye, they've gotten all their energy up to this part of the head. That's not accurate. The third eye actually has a direct connection to the root chakra. Have you ever noticed that when you go and sit on the toilet, the first thing you want to do is read? You ever notice that? If you want to figure something out, you go sit on the toilet. It's because your root chakra is being stimulated, which has a direct connection to your third eye, your ability to see things objectively. So 4, I open the door, the third eye. 5, it comes alive. So the south is the realm of fire. It represents the manifestation of, the actions that come with manifesting the self. So the south is not just fire, it's not just warfare, it's not just purification, it's action. Taking action towards what you want. That's why it says it comes alive. It has energy, it moves. It is the realm of Mars. Mars is action, Mars is energy. So when we get to 5 and we face south, it comes alive. 6, my words are fixed. As it so happens, again, I didn't make this up. I just put the sine wave, the root to the top, and by the time you keep bouncing around, you get to 6, you end up at the lips. This is not a chakra point, but it is a meridian point. So there are 9 meridian points, and if you go on a sine wave, this brings you to 8. The lips, right? My words are fixed. I don't think that's I don't think that's a mistake. That's there for a reason. It's not there by happenstance. You have to remember that as we go further back in time, speech had far more power. And there was a point in time when you didn't speak at all unless you were choosing to bring into manifestation whatever you were going to say. There was a point before that where people didn't speak. They didn't need to speak. Everything was psychic communication. And then as we went further and further away through the yugas, we went further and further away from the center of our galaxy, then we became denser and we had to speak into existence. And now, we're so far away from that our speech we're not aware. The truth is our speech creates, but we're not as aware of it. So we throw things around. I mean, nowadays, just, if you want to talk to somebody, you curse them. You say, F you, you stupid this. I mean, there are words that people use here in Australia, which I will not repeat because they're so offensive in the US. But people throw them out here like they're nothing. They use the C word. Everybody calls each other the C word. And it's just the first time I heard it, I was like, whoa. Somebody said, F you, you C word. And I was like, what is your problem? And I realized that's just that's how they talk to their friends. So, words do not have the impact that they used to have. I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. When I was an actor, and I don't know how I came about it, but I was reading about a tribe in Africa that when they wanted to cut down a tree, they didn't use axes. The whole tribe would circle the tree and yell at it, and it would kill the tree. And so they understood the power of speech. This is unique to humans. So 6 is also 666. 666 is the number of humans. 6 has to do with human beings manifesting. It's a very magical, it's not an evil number at all. My words are fixed. So this is the southwest. By this time we're in the southwest. And the southwest has to do with the underworld. And what is the underworld? Where you pay the price for your karmic attachments. Where you review your life, where you review your attachments, your needs, your desires. that's the southwest. And your words create what you must live through. You know, you're going to have to live through that. So if you realize the power of your words, and especially when you say them with intention, you know, those things become fixed. They become, as my ancestors called, they become origins, because you live in the present now. Your thought, not your thoughts, your intentions, your beliefs, your decisions, and your words create your origins, which then create your future, your debt, your karma, which you must live out. So my words are fixed. Once you speak them, they become fixed in the fabric of the web of weird. All right? 7, by the stars of heaven. So now we're facing west. We've gone through our karmic rebirth, and now we're facing the west. The west is the realm of the Vanir, the realm of the gods of wisdom, the elder gods. They're elder gods not because they've been around longer than the Aesir. It's because they live in time and space. They live in space-time, so they have time and experience. The Aesir live in timelessness, so they're like children. They're black and white, very intense. The Vanir are like your grandparents. They're mellow, they're calm, they want what's best for you, they give you candy. They have a lot of wisdom. They've been around, they have experience. And so they represent the stars of heaven. Now, there are 7 stars in the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is the star constellation that the Taoists use to achieve immortality. There's a whole way to do that, where you take you meditate on the Big Dipper, and you put it over your head, and the handle is in front of you, and the gods come out of the thing, and they come in your body and all that. It's very powerful. So 7 by the stars of heaven. Again, there's no coincidence that we have that facing west, who are the gods of magic. So these are the gods who would teach you this power of being able to become immortal, being able to manifest your desires, and they're the ones that have this power over the Big Dipper. Okay, there's all kinds of things that, anyway, a lot of stuff I haven't shared yet. 8, release my fate. So this is facing the northwest, which is the realm of the ascended masters, the elves, the shining ones, human beings that have achieved everything they wanted in this physical world, and now they stand on the edge of infinity, and they look back towards humans, and they teach humans how to become like they are. And so you're facing them, and you're saying, release my fate. What is your fate? Your fate is to become an ascended master yourself. Everybody will. Everybody listening to me will. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. You will all achieve that state. You will all achieve the state of the elves. And then 9, you come back and you face north again, and you say, it shall be mine. So everything comes back. 9 is the completion, and this is where you come back to the heart. When you do the sine wave, you end up back at the heart. So again, I teach that sine wave practice in the DVD called The Spell of the 9 Knots. Go to courses.thunderwizard.com and you can find it there. So the north, again, the rune now. Let's bring the runes into it. So the runes, I'm now, if you know how to do this spell, and you know how to go into all the directions, and you know how to stimulate all of the 9 points, have it bounce back and forth until it gets to your heart center. When you get to the north, what I want you to do is to say 1, it has begun, and then chant Fehu. Because Fehu has to do with resources. And so the north is the realm of the waters, which is resources. The resources that manifest into reality. They're not manifested yet. They're in that state where they haven't completely manifested. They're in the potential stage, but all the energy is there. That's what money is. I have Australian money here. It looks like, Australian money looks like, to me, you know, I end up spending money and not realizing it because it looks like play money to me. And it's got plastic in it. It's got plastic, so it looks like play money. But what was I going to say? This is just energy. This is just potential. That's all it is. It's just potential. There's nothing I can do with this. I mean, I can't even burn it because it's not even made of paper. But this represents potential for me to get the things that I want. This is why Fehu now represents money, represents potential. So when you face the north and you say one, it has begun, and you stimulate the root the root meridian point, you say Fehu. And then we'll go around, as we will go into each one of the directions, we'll do that. But for now, I just want to focus on the north. The north represents the waters. The waters represents, in the physical body, has a strong connection to the kidneys. Whenever people have back issues, because that's the thing. That's been the thing since the 70s. Before the 70s, people did not have back problems related to money issues. They had, in the 60s, people had stomach ulcers. And so once we found out as a society that stomach ulcers were the result of stress, people magically stopped having stomach ulcers. Do you know anybody that has stomach ulcers? I don't. I remember as a kid in the 60s, a lot of adults had stomach ulcers until doctors wrote in newspapers that stomach ulcers were a result of stress. Once people figured out, stress causes stomach ulcers, then they stopped having stomach ulcers. Why? Because is that what I want? Not ulcers, stomach. Is that it? When your stomach bothers you. Anyway, maybe that is what I'm saying. Because once people realized that was a result of stress, they no longer had this way to distract themselves from their fears of money. So what ended up happening is that right after that, people started having back problems. So in the back, you have the kidneys. The kidneys represent the water element, which is the element of resources. The kidneys is what allows you to trust the universe. If you have problems with your kidneys, you're going to have problems trusting the universe to provide for you. If you have problems trusting the universe to provide for you, you're going to have back pain. Oh, I've got back pain. That's not trusting the universe to provide for you. So the north, the realm of the waters, has a direct connection to the waters of life, which provide nourishment for you, which translates in your mind into money. So having money is what makes you feel that the universe loves you, that Mother Earth, the waters, Mother. When you don't have money, you feel as though your mother doesn't love you. Your mother is not providing for you. And so if people have this issue, if they have mommy issues, guess what's going to happen? They're going to grow up and they're going to have money issues, and they're going to have back problems. So the way to do that is to be your own parent. This is what psychology is all about. To teach people to be their own parent, because their parent didn't do a good enough job in reflecting back to them their objective self. So you have to go to a therapist who takes the role of the parent and retrains you to be able to parent yourself and to love yourself. That's the difference between people who can say, you know what, I'm just going to go make this happen, and they go and do it, and people who sit around and go, oh, I don't think I can, and you don't understand, I'm different. I was listening to somebody just last week who was complaining about their life, and I said, you realize that you're no different than anybody else in your situation, and no, my situation is different. I'm different. That's unconsciously they don't want to let go, because they're still trying to get their parents to love them on an unconscious level. So when you get to love yourself, then you get to allow yourself to trust that the waters of life will flow through you, through your kidneys, and help you to manifest your desires, will give you the resources, the money, to be able to get all of the things that you need. So this is the power of the north. So when we do the spell of the 9 knots and we face north, we say 1, it has begun, Fehu. You're asking the power of resources to come into you to help fuel the rest of your manifestation. Okay, so I won't go through the whole spell today. We'll just make this a longer series, but I'll see if there's any questions here. Let me see here. So Black Earth Productions, hey Black Earth Productions, you can go to his YouTube channel, Black Earth Productions. He has a website, blackearthproductionswithaz.com. Indica Farmer Sleeper, question: do you plan on visiting Southern California in the future? Why are you asking that? I lived in Southern California my whole life, so I don't plan on visiting there. Do you have any idea how long the plane ride is, and how? And no, I mean, if I'm going back to Southern California, it's because I'm going back for good. And yeah, it's very expensive and it's a long plane ride. So I don't know why you're asking me that. I'd prefer to know why you're asking. Do you want to train with me in person? Is that why you're asking? Why don't you become an apprentice? Go to thunderwizard.com and see the apprenticeship options. Zeralath, question: how did our ancestors pronounce 0 through 9? Zeralath, my friend, I'm starting to get this picture that you might kind of be like autistic. You're so wrapped up in all of these intellectual things. How is that going to help you? Just don't worry about it. If you want, you can go look that stuff up. But you know, we're talking about the 9 worlds and all that. You sometimes just go way too into some of these intellectualizations. I mean, I have no problem with the question, but if you do some research, you can find it. I don't know. I don't know offhand what the how our ancestors. Which ancestors are you talking about? Talking about the Anglo-Saxons? Are you talking about the Old Norse? Are you talking about Proto-Germanic? Are you talking about Proto-Indo-European? That's easily found out. Put some effort into it and find out. Black Earth Productions question: so saying 666 is not evil. We can let go of the monotheistic bullshit when it comes to that whole notion that this is the devil BS. This came up recently with something I was observing. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with your statement there. That, yep. There, you know, there's nothing evil about any number, even 13. You know, the Chinese. There's some number the Chinese don't like. I can't remember which one it is, but it's one that we have no problem with. But yeah, 6 is a very powerful number, and 666 is a very powerful number. Let's see, what else? Kenneth Forte, can I come live with you, be your apprentice? I'm assuming that that's a joke. No. I would not have an apprentice live with me. Why in the world would I do that? Why would I do that? No, so, I mean, are you going to pay rent? Are you going to come and pay rent and be my apprentice? No. So in times past, when somebody, you know, way times past, when somebody had an apprentice, they would live with them, and the apprentice would do all the work. The apprentice would go out and get the wood. They would go out and beg for money. They would go out and get the food. They would go out and, you know, chop the wood and light the fire and light the food and do all the repairs and get everything ready for whatever the wizard was going to do. And the wizard spent his time in meditation and in study, and the apprentice did all the work. So you don't really want to come and do that, do you? You don't want to come and work your... But I don't even know you. Why would I want you to come and live with me? Anyway, I don't think you're being serious, but... that's it. I don't see any more questions. Yeah, so there's not a lot of people. It's the middle of the night everywhere in the world. I'm here in Australia. So unless you're up really late at night. So we're going to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep doing these kinds of videos. I'm going to start doing more live videos because the way YouTube is set up, I get a lot more views if I do live question and answers than if I record them. So I'm going to, every time I feel like doing a video, I'm going to do a lot more live stuff. For this, as I said, go to courses.thunderwizard.com. You can find all of my books and all of my DVDs. You can find the book Thunder Shamanism, which will talk about in depth all of the 9 worlds and the 8 directions. You can get the Spell of the 9 Knots. and you can learn how to go in the directions and how to open up the meridian centers of the body, and how to do the actual spell with with the actual knots and all that kind of thing. So you can go there for that. So if you want to support the channel, go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. If you subscribe, even at the basic level, which is only 25 bucks a month, if you subscribe at that level, you will have access to, I don't even know how many hundreds and hundreds of hours of master of shamanism videos. You can master this. I talk about the 9 worlds. I believe I talk about this spell. I talk about the runes in depth, more in depth than I do on the free channel. So that's the best way to support this channel. And yeah, that's it. That's all I can think of. If you want to learn the runes and become certified to become a 9-world rune reader, you can go to runecertification.thunderwizard.com. All right, maybe I'll do a special on that. I don't know. A couple of questions came in. Indica Farmer Sleeper. Question: I named my oldest Thane. Can you please give me an interpretation of his name and possibly share any info about energies pertaining to the names? Is there any effects that coincide with names? I don't know that name offhand, so I can't tell you what that is. It sounds like Anglo-Saxon, I think it is, but I honestly don't know. Here's the thing about names. When somebody gets a Vedic astrological reading from me, one of the things I do is I give you your spiritual name, which is I give you the syllable that your moon sits over. So the moon and the ascendant are the 2 powerful places to make names. The reason why I call myself Mahadeva is because my ascendant sits right over the syllable Ma. So Ma, when people call my name, even my parents didn't realize it, but they named me Mike, which is close to Ma. When people call me Mahadeva, or when people call me Mike, it stimulates my ascendant. My ascendant is my physical body and my personality. There's a reason why at 56 years of age I'm still as strong as I am. It's because people my whole life have been stimulating my body through the name that they call me. So if I were to name a kid, what I would do is I would find out exactly what syllable the moon is sitting over. Because every time somebody calls, like for instance, if a girl is named, her moon sits over the syllable La. If somebody calls her Lakshmi, like right underneath you have Thundra. Thundra, I believe, got that from a reading that I gave her, and I told her what the syllable was for her name. But in any case, a little kid is named Lakshmi. Every time somebody says, Lakshmi, come here, Lakshmi, open the door, Lakshmi, don't touch that, Lakshmi, go to bed, brush your teeth. Every time her name is called, her mind, which is the moon, stimulates to vibrate at its highest level, which means they will think better, process their emotions better, and they will meditate more powerfully when they meditate. So you're asking me about names. I wouldn't just arbitrarily throw a name on somebody. I would find out where their moon was placed, and I would name them based on the syllable sitting over their moon. Okay, so you asked me about names. That's what I would do when it comes to names. Thunder Staves Rangel, question: do you have any information to share regarding bind runes? I don't. I don't mess around with stuff I don't know. I mean, I'm familiar with bind runes and how they work. You take multiple runes and bring them together. And but I don't teach stuff that I don't feel I have, achieved mastery over. And because the runes are so powerful for me, just working, I've been repeating the word Fehu over and over. So every time that I say the word Fehu, I can feel it. And so for me to start messing with bind runes, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not going to play around with that. I've read enough historical things. There was one historical thing I read about a rune apprentice went to somebody's house. This was way back when in Scandinavia, and carved a bind rune onto the bedpost or something like that, and the person started getting sicker. And then the master rune shaman came in and said, no, that's wrong, and added one little line or something like that, and then the person started getting better. So I don't play around with stuff I don't know, and bind runes are really powerful. So I'm not saying don't experiment with them or work with them. I'm just saying I don't play around with stuff I don't understand. I don't, I don't play around with dynamite. Some people know how to do it. I don't. So there's my answer to your question. Yeah. So, well, Nordic, Indica Farmer, Thane is Nordic. Nordic is a Germanic language. So when you, Old Norse and Old English are virtually identical languages. Um, it's just another form of Germanic. All right, so I don't see anything else here. No more questions. I'm going to get myself ready for some stuff I'm going to do later on. Again, the links are up here for a reason. Make use of them. Support the channel. Easiest way to do that is to go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at whatever level you want. The next video I think I'm going to make is I believe I'm going to go and do a manifestation mastery course video about this actual thing, and I'll go through the whole spell. Of course, that'll be on the manifestation mastery course at thunderwizard.com. I think that'll be the next one that I'm going to do. So that's it. No more questions, so I will see you guys next time. All right, take care.